Everyone knows that filming for the Power Rangers reboot will begin in 2026, and they also know that the franchise has come a long way to get here, as a lot has happened since it was announced that they were going to reboot everything. The first version of the reboot was going to be directed by Jonathan Entwistle, and we waited many years for this new project to develop. Producer Jenny Klein also joined the new project in development, and although everything was moving slowly, we could gradually see progress in some details. Despite this, we never got to see anything about the project, and they didn't even explain what the series was going to be about. After that, the project was cancelled, and we didn't know the reason for the cancellation either. We didn't even receive an official statement. However, Jonathan Entwistle has talked about the project in several interviews, and there is also some leaked information about all the ideas they had for this project. That's why I'm going to explain how this reboot was going to work, and at the end of this video, you can decide if you would have liked Jonathan Entwistle's version. The first thing you should know is that Jonathan's plan was to connect everything, including the series, movies, comics, and video games. Basically, this director wanted to create a completely connected universe so that fans could learn about this new fantasy world through different projects and not just in a series of several episodes. Another thing was that the episodes were going to be 60 minutes long, something that had been confirmed on Jenny's website, and the style was going to be darker, aimed at a more adult audience. The plan was to have deaths that looked real, Rangers who also died, and a lot of violence in a more realistic way. The style was going to be like the medieval era with dragons, armored suits, and designs inspired by some famous Power Rangers designers. Everything was going to be more raw, but at the same time more dramatic and meaningful so that it would be a series that adults could really enjoy. Jonathan was going to include multiverse and time travel, something that has always characterized Power Rangers, but in this new universe, it was going to be vital. Those who read the Shattered Grid comic would have understood this project better since the idea was based on that story, although it wasn't going to be the same. In that comic, we saw Tommy become Lord Drakkon, and this villain traveled throughout the multiverse taking away the powers of the Rangers, but also the Morphin Masters. The main character in that story was Tommy Oliver, and in Jonathan's reboot story, Tommy was also going to be the main focus of the entire universe. Lord Drakkon was going to be included in those plans, but we don't know how he was going to include him if he wanted to do something different from the comic. What we do know is that the main objective was to stop Lord Drakkon, so we already know that he was going to be the main villain, but Tommy was also going to be a very important character. Tommy was going to be leading a new team of Power Rangers, so this is already different from the comics, since Tommy doesn't lead the team there, although he is a key part of the plot. In short, this new universe wasn't going to be a repeat of Mighty Morphin, but it was going to use Tommy Oliver. However, we don't know if the other team members were going to appear in the series since it is said that Tommy was going to lead a new team, not the Mighty Morphin Rangers we already know. We also don't know if they were going to involve JDF, since the actor died in 2022 and this reboot began to take shape in 2019. According to some information I found on the internet, some Rangers from the past were going to die, which means that this new version was going to be set in the future. That means that Tommy Oliver was possibly a little older, so maybe JDF could have played the character again. In addition to this actor always wanted to play Lord Drakkon, but he was only able to do so for publicity and not in an actual series. A character like this would have required more dedication and effort to play. Basically, it would have been a challenge, something that actors love. Another interesting idea they had for this reboot was that the colors would have a will of their own or some kind of consciousness. Basically, the colors were going to be like a kind of mythology, and although they weren't going to be living beings, they would be like mythological or cosmic entities. It's similar to the Infinity Stones in Marvel or the Speed Force in Flash, powerful ancient energies. These energies don't speak like humans, but they influence, choose, react, and defend themselves. This idea came specifically from Jenny Klein and is based on the idea that each Ranger color would exist as a conscious force in the universe. Not just anyone could use a morpher, the color must choose the person, and if a person is not worthy, then the color can reject or harm them. It's very similar to the Green Lantern ring. The ring is very wise and knows how to distinguish between the best people to be worthy of the power. In Power Rangers, this has always been almost the same, as the Rangers do not choose their colors. Rather, the grid has always decided the color of each Ranger. This is because each color has its meaning, and each person has different qualities that may be more suitable for certain specific colors. However, in Power Rangers, colors were never treated as something mythological or cosmic, but rather as a difference in power or qualities. What did have consciousness, or something similar, was the Morphin grid, as it could decide if someone was worthy of the power. However, this was never very relevant since it was almost always the mentors who chose the Rangers, and in the reboot this was going to be different. According to Jenny's idea, if the colors were going to have consciousness, then it is very likely that the Rangers would be chosen by the colors and not by the mentors, which would have been very interesting. In the comics, the colors are treated as a slightly different power than in the television series, since in the Shattered Grid storyline, we saw how Lord Drakkon took away each Ranger's powers and fed on all that energy. This villain absorbed the colors as if he were stealing the essence of each Ranger, and this gave a different meaning to the power. In the special episode, we saw something related to this concept of colors when Trini's daughter tried to transform into a Ranger in order to use the powers, but because her intentions were not pure, she was unable to transform. They worked this out in a different way, as the Morpher acted as the key to connecting to the power, and apparently the Morpher could identify Min's intentions. I'm pretty sure the decision not to give Min the power came from the grid and not the color. This analogy suggests that in the reboot, in a case like this, the decision would have been made by the color and not the grid. This may seem insignificant, but it can really change things a lot. Let's imagine that the grid and the colors are people, then it's not the same for one person to make all the decisions, or for 6 different people to make their own decisions. Because each color has different qualities, it is very likely that their decisions would be different, so we do not know if, in Min's case, perhaps the color yellow would have made a different decision than the Morphin grid did at that moment. Perhaps the yellow color would have allowed her to transform from the beginning because she was Trini's daughter, or perhaps it would never have allowed her to transform because she started out with bad intentions. Mixing all this mythology of colors with the multiverse and time travel was going to be a great decision that would give us a deeper series with details of a more interesting story. Power Rangers has always had very interesting things that they could never expand on because it was a children's series and that audience doesn't care about any of this, they just want to see the Rangers destroy the monsters. Jonathan wanted to explore all these interesting ideas that the franchise has always had, such as time travel, the multiverse, gods, mythology, and cosmic powers. This director wanted to give more meaning to everything, delve deeper into the story, and expand the entire Power Rangers universe.